In this video, I'm going to look at how we can create this clock design. Now, this designer has so far created this CAD file, which is looking great. And I'm assuming here that they've based this on the drawing. So if I bring that in here, we can hopefully see how they've scaled that to the right size. I will just mention here that it would have been much easier had this designer cropped this image back so there was no margin around the outside in terms of positioning the clock. What I was able to do here is I was able to see that the center point of this graphic was just down to the right of the clock spindle there, and so I was able to basically move it into approximately the same place there, and then that meant that everything pretty much lined up there. But yes, removing the background there with, for example, paint.net would have made it a lot easier to work with. It's also quite a low resolution image here as well, so perhaps trying to capture a high res image by zooming in on the PDF that we're scanning here in the school. Something else that's missing from here as well of this design is any evidence of colors, of the aesthetic colors and the materials that we're going to be using with this design. So that would have also been a big benefit for this designer to have incorporated some textures or colors, etc. Now I'm going to make therefore some executive decisions about this, and I can see that we've got these quadrants here in the middle. I'm going to make the assumption here that actually this central piece is going to be all just one solid piece, and then I'm going to have some, I think, wooden sections around the outside here, creating the lettering. Now, there's something else I'm also going to look at here as well. In fact, I think I'm going to just ignore this last point I was going to look at and just go ahead and explore how I would create these different textures. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the wooden texture because I think this is going to be the most complicated bit. And in particular, I'm going to have a look at the wooden texture right here in this panel here because I can feel that the layout here of the Roman numerals is going to be causing me a problem. Okay, so let's go to the bound fill tool, which is tool B4 there, column B, row 4. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to make sure that the fill color is going to be changed here. And what I want to do is actually apply a texture to this bounding fill, which is going to look like the wood I'm after. So let's have a look here at the textures. Let's go to load textures. Let's come down here to, I'm going to go to uncut wood, and I'm wanting to have some walnut here. Now, I don't believe there's walnut in this list. However, there is, for example, let's go with what's dark, streaky, wood-like. That looks good to me. Bit of a strange name for a piece of wood, but let's go with that there. Open. And I'm also thinking as well to see about the direction of the grain. Now, I could always rotate the grain to different angles, but I'm thinking here about having it so that the grain is going to be, let's say, vertical. So I'll put the angle back there to 0. Okay, let's just confirm that. Let's confirm this. And now I need to identify where I want to apply this texture. So I'm going to click on the external edge here, and it's saying, are there any islands? Well, yes, there is. There's going to be an island right here. Are there any more islands? No. Okay, and now what I get if I click on that panel, let's also just make sure as well that I've got grid lock turned on here. I can see grid spacing is 5mm for my pale blue gridded background, and I've got step spacing for 2.5 as well for a little bit more fine control, but I'll leave it as the grid lock, and I'll pull that to the side, and that's the piece that I have. Now, what I'd like to highlight here is the problem I'm going to have with the Roman numerals. Because if I'm laser cutting this, then it means that the piece of wood that I laser cut is going to have this tiny little piece stuck on the end here. And I feel as if that is going to break away. And I can see that I've got these kind of connections here between this counter in the middle. And this might also be quite weak and fragile as well. So in this particular context, I think what I'm going to do is actually laser cut the Roman numerals separately in black acrylic, for example, and then glue those down and then have the wood just as a solid block of wood underneath there. So I'm actually going to just move that to the side there for the time being. I'll leave that where it is. And let's now just actually take, so first of all, ungroup this. So Control U to ungroup. And let's now just take this. Oh, got more grouping to do. We've got multiple groupings happening here. Let's see what we've got now. There we are. So grid lock's on here. I'm going to take that to the side there, and I'm going to imagine that that's going to be cut out separately. And I'm going to do the same here, I think, for all of these. In fact, before I go any further with this, what I actually would probably do, thinking about this, is I'd probably take this design, I would move it to the side, so I've got like a backup of this. I almost feel as if this is wrong here. Can you see how that line there is not the center line? So this line is the horizontal line is too low. I think I'm going to delete that one because it's taking a bit of space as well and it's not right. So let's grab this again here. That was my original design. Let's pull it up here instead. And then let's go ahead and duplicate this, bring it down. I'm wanting to have it on the grid, which is looking great like that. And then I think I'm just going to actually delete those in this case because I've still got them available up here in the original design. So now I can come back to the bounding tool here, and I'm going to basically fill these slots, and no islands now because there's nothing inside these. Oh, okay, these shapes, and this is not a closed boundary. So if I zoom in on this, what I should start to see is like there's a little error there. Okay, so some little errors that have been created in this CAD file are causing me a problem. There we are. Let's select that. Let's go back to the bounding fill tool. This is why you need to keep your CAD files as clean as possible. Okay, and then now I'm going to right click on the bounding fill tool here. I want to change the fill color there to perhaps something that looks like our maple, which is a nice kind of pale yellow finish. I'm looking down here. I can't see anything. Oh, maple's there. There it is. Okay, so let's go with that. Perfect. Okay, and then now I'm going to be applying that texture to the other tiles. And again, here we've got an error, so I've got to pixel peep and zoom in, and I can see there's another little problem. Okay, fantastic. Let's finish off there. That bounding fill. Come on. Okay, so there you go. That's basically my design, my wooden design around the outside. And what's nice now is, in fact, let's go a bit further here. Let's actually get rid of delete any. So hold down the mouse button there on the delete any tool and go to delete part. I'm going to trim those back there. I can see here that I've still got that cross in the center there. That's fine. I can leave that. In fact, no, I'm probably going to get rid of it because I think it's fairly obvious where the center is here. I can see it's lined up with the division between the wooden panels. And let's now just go to the bounding fill again here, and let's make sure that that is going to be in white. So I'm going to have a white piece of acrylic there being that central piece. No islands. Okay, actually that is wrong, because of course I do need to have an island in the middle. But before I go any further with this, let me have a look at something else. In the specifications, it says that the maximum size of the clock should be ideally is 195 millimeters in diameter. If I get the diameter tool here, let's make sure I do that again. So dimension line tool, I'm going to go all the way to draw a diameter dimension. Click on the edge here, pull it out, click again. I can see that this is 200. So actually what I need to do here is scale this down to 195. And so to do that, let me see, I am going to just get rid of that. But no, I'll leave it. I'll leave it because it's a reference point, isn't it? Let's grab all of this. Let's actually take this up to the side here. Okay. And then let's just shift deselect that number, copy paste, bring it back, and that should be back on the grid, which it is. Okay, so I need to bring this down to 19.5 centimeters across, or 195 millimeters. And when I do that, I need to make sure that I keep it on the grid. So what I cannot do is take this and then scale that back by pulling it in 5 millimeters on the X and Y axis, because that now takes the center point off the grid. Well, I could do that. Let's actually have a look at that. Let's do that. I've scaled it like this. Let's now just draw a line. Okay. Now I'm going to select the shape again. I'm going to deselect the line with shift click. And then now with the attach tool on and gridlock off, I'm now going to, he says I clicked the wrong thing. I didn't know. I missed the target. Let's try that again. Shift deselect the line, click on the move tool, and now I'm going to make sure that it snaps with the attach tool onto the end there, and that's now back on the grid. So that's one way that I could do this. Let's have a look at another way. I'm going to undo that, undo it again, undo it again. So now I am back to a circle with a diameter of 200, which is on the grid. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to come to the transformation tools. I'm going to come to the alter the size of the selected object. I need to make sure I get the size right here. So at the moment it's 20 centimeters. I want to put it down to 1.95. 1.95. So that's going to pull it back from 20 down to 19.5 centimeters in diameter. And if I click on OK, and then now with gridlock turned on, I click on the center point. Oh, hang on a second. What did I do there? I went the wrong way, didn't I? Let's have another look at that again, shall we? Actually, what I want to do here, I'm so daft. What I want to do is take that back to 0.9. 0.975. Yes, 0.975, because if I double 9.75, I get 19.5. So let's do that. Let's now click on the center, and now let's check out that it's 19.5 or 195. Okay there. Interesting. That was cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, right. So that's just scaled it down there. Now what I want to do is introduce my spindle hole, which wants to have a radius of 5 millimeters and a diameter of 10 millimeters. I'm going to drop that in the middle there. And then now I'm going to do my acrylic fill. Let's go to the bounding tool there. I've got a solid white fill there. I'm going to click on the internal edge of this circle. Yes, I've got an island. I'm going to click there on where the spindle hole is. No more islands. And that basically is my clock face done. And the key thing about this is with grid lock turned on here, I can now grab this and I can now pull this design apart into the relevant sections. Okay, I'm going to pause this video, I think, at this point, and then we're going to continue exploring this in the next one. See you then.